All right. What's going on, people? How we doing? It is Thursday, August 28th. We are right in between the group stage and the round of 16 of the 2025 FIVB Women's Volleyball World Championships. And today, we're going to talk about some volleyball. My name is Everett Delorme. If you're joining me, you already probably know that. And if you're joining me for the first time, welcome. You might have heard my name because I've pissed a few people off along the way. Hope everyone's doing well today. I have to say, the past couple days of volleyball were actually entertaining. I actually got into it. We had some of the best matches of the group stage that happened right at the end. We knew this was going to happen, though. We did know that this was going to happen, but it was good to see. Thailand, Netherlands, banger of a match. Those Thai crowds, perfection. But Germany, Poland yesterday, oh my goodness, what a match. Back and forth all the way. The Germans ended up choking it away. Going to Poland, it ultimately did look like Germany was going to be able to pull it out. But at the end of the day, it's just going to be a race to who loses to Italy. Or maybe, who knows? We'll talk about that a little bit. How's everyone feeling about the World Champs so far? Hello from Bangkok. I hope you guys are enjoying it out there. It looks like it's a great time. You guys are filling the stands nicely. Love to see how many fans are at the other matches and events too, because man, it looks cool with all the players coming out. Looks really good. But yeah, we'll talk a little bit about the tournament. I'm going to preview a little bit about the round 16. And then a little bit later on, I did do a breakdown of some of the stats. So if you go into the Discord, if you go into the Discord, you'll see that I have a Google Sheet there where I linked all of the team stats into a nice little area that you guys can check it out. Okay, we'll break down some of that together a little bit later. Straub has the biggest potential out of all the new setters. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. And the fact that Germany has Straub and Kostner is pretty good. Hello from the UK. We got a whole bunch of new people in here. Love to see it. We got some Sweden. We've got some Thailand. We got some UK. A whole bunch of new people coming down. So I don't think that there's too much to talk about the end of the group stage at all, is there? I mean, it was pretty straightforward. There was only a little bit of drama in the USA's group, where Slovenia took down Argentina 3-0, and then the US beat Czechia. So Slovenia is the one non-VNL team to qualify for the World Championship quarterfinal round of 16. So congratulations to Slovenia, well deserved. Silla is absolutely an absolute monster out there on the left side. I think I'm going to, if I have enough time. I have to go to a wedding this weekend too, and then I'm going camping. So there's a lot of things to be done. But I really want to make an all-star team of like all of the others, like all of the teams that got knocked out. The bottom 16. I want to make an all-star team of the bottom 16, and Silla would be on the top of that list as well. We'll also check out some of the standings. I think first we're going to break it down, and then the last half will be a little bit looser as we check out some stats and just hang out. Everyone wants to, and I can answer any questions that anyone has as well. Italy stands out, but I like how China played against Dominican Republic. I agree that China-Dominican Republic match was actually really entertaining. Like in the first set where they were tied 10-10, and the next thing you know, China was up like 18-10, and it wasn't from both of those teams like necessarily making a lot of errors. It was just good play after good play after good plays. So it was really good to see from her. Where's Van Rijk? Taking time off. She needed to take some time off for her her mental health. I mean, I think it's really hard to realize how, like, we talk about it all the time, of just how hard it is to play all the time. And I know, and I've talked about it before, but Kira did go through quite a bit of trauma in the past few years when she lost her mother, and she was very close to her mother. So it just looks like maybe she needed some time off, and it kind of bodes well, right? Because if Kira was there, Team Canada would just be relying on her the entire time. And now we've had so many more opportunities to grow. But we can talk about that a little bit later. And I mean, yeah, I do think the ankle sprain for Bree can be that bad. I do fully agree that it can be that bad. Coming from someone who sprained their ankle and it's like literally never been the same again. Ankle sprains can sometimes be worse than breaks, because ligaments don't heal the same way bones do, and ligaments sometimes take longer to heal than bones do. Yeah, I am Canadian, so we'll see about that. Would love to play you again, but I mean, we'll see about that. Will Boskovic play later on? Probably not. Probably not. I don't think we're going to be able to see Boskovic just yet. All right, I'm going to jump in to some of the previews of what we're going to be expecting from some of these matches. Of course, I'm going to break down. Oh, actually, I should bring in. I'll do that. I'll do that later, just to take a look at it. Yeah, good luck to us. Okay, match number 1 to break down: Netherlands versus Serbia. This is going to be a tough way for the Serbians to go, truly, because it doesn't look like Boskovic is going to be ready. By all accounts, it sounds like they might try to throw Aleksandar Uzelac on the opposite side if Bukilic isn't working. Maybe they bring in someone like Dangubic to play on the left side. But I mean, we saw what this Serbian team was without Tiana this summer, and it wasn't pretty, right? I know they had Uzelac out, especially for that week 2 there, so that was even worse. But this is a tall order for this Serbian team to do without, like, with Mirkovic setting, and with no Tiana Boskovic. I don't necessarily see a world where they can win this, right? This isn't, what was it, like the 2022 or 2023? I think it was 2022 VNL, where with none of their starters, Serbia went all the way to a bronze medal match. That was back when Santarelli's coaching. Now this is a different game and a different Serbian team. Terzic, I don't know if he's like, everyone was so high on him at the beginning of the season. Everyone's like, oh, Terzic is coming back. The legend is coming back. But to me, it just hasn't really been working. And on the other side, you have a Dutch team that is I really like watching this Dutch team play, right? I really enjoy watching this Dutch team play. They're really dynamic. They're led by a really good setter in Van Allen, and they've got some pieces kind of a little bit everywhere. So they've got a lot of depth, a lot of dynamic players, and they're kind of ready to take that next step. I think they're quite young, so their focus is going to waver at times. But I think that this Dutch team is ready to take a step forward. And to be honest, this might be the end of Serbian women's volleyball, at least for a little bit. Like, can Boskovic still carry this team? Does she still has the ability to carry this team? I don't really know, but it hasn't been looking pretty for them. It hasn't been looking pretty, and there's just so much uncertainty surrounding this team. Whereas on the other side of the net, when you look at like Dambrink and Van de Vossa and Van Allen, this is a really, really good team all around. And they've just got some good depth. Like, they've got 2 or 3 pieces at every single position, maybe except for the setter. I don't know who they necessarily have as the backup setter. So this could be somewhat of a changing of the guard. I don't think the Dutch can take the place of the 2-time defending world champions in Serbia. However, I do think that they're ready to be amongst the next level of elite teams. Okay, but yeah, unless something magical happens where somehow Tiana Boskovic is ready to play for the first match of the round of 16, I don't see a world necessarily where Serbia wins this one. Sorry, guys. Now, moving forward to Japan versus Thailand. This one's going to be a banger. The fans are going to show out for this. Not only is this like 2 of the most well-supported teams in the world in Thailand and in Japan. And if you guys don't believe me, trust me, like Thailand, like Thailand carries volleyball VBTV in some ways with some of the numbers. Like they have some of the most passionate fans in the world, especially for their team. And of course, the Japanese fans are always, always out in numbers. There are a lot of Japanese fans in Thailand, but there's a lot of also history between these two teams, not only just because they're from the same region, but going back to the 2026 or the 2016 Olympic qualifiers when there was some, let's say, questionable calls in favor of Japan that pushed them past Thailand, that would have qualified Thailand instead of Japan for the Olympics. And ultimately we didn't see it. Not to bring up old wounds here for Thai fans, but just to remind myself, I watched the video of it today and it's so blatantly bad. It is so blatantly bad. But I do think that like this match on paper shouldn't be close. However, there's a few things that this Thai team looks way different in this World Championships than they did during the VNL. I don't know if it's their fans that have reinvigorated them. I don't know if they've just spent a little bit more time together, but this is a time that is the team that has always generally been pretty close. But, oh yeah, sorry. I forgot there was 2012 and there was 2016. Yo, that would be a fun deep dive video to do, is deep dive into those two things, for Thailand. But not only does this Thai team get like reinvigorated, and it was really too bad that they weren't able to pull out that win against the Dutch, because I think if you had this matchup in the quarterfinals, potentially it would be, even better. And because, yeah, like Thailand would have been up against Serbia, and I think that Thailand at home 100% could have beat Serbia, and that would have been an awesome storyline to then have them meet in the quarterfinals. But I digress. This Thai team from their home crowd is really, really good. Pornpoon is one of the best slingers of the ball out there. I just love to watch her sling. Like, she's just a natural slinger. And Kachuan can score, and they have a team that plays well together. And obviously Japan is going to be the same way. They're way more aggressive this time around. I've talked about it before, but they're also a little bit banged up and a little bit injured. And that's why we saw Japan go to 5 against Ukraine, because they tried to rest Yoshino and Wada, and it didn't work, right? So I think that there's an opportunity here for Thailand to maybe squeak in. If they're going to get upset one of the big teams, it has to be Japan right now. So yeah, I'm still giving favor to Japan. No questions about it. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not sit here and being like, no, Thailand's going to win this 100%. Absolutely not. I'm still going for Japan, especially with my bromance with Abbas this summer. However, Thailand has a shot. I think this will be a really, really entertaining match to watch. And actually, I'm just going to say it now. We'll do a live stream for this. We'll do a watch along for this match. What do people think about that? Because it's at like 9:30 Eastern time, so it'll give me time to like wake up and go for a run or a walk or something, and then have some breakfast, and we can all watch this one together, because I think it's going to be a really entertaining match. And then I have to go to a wedding, so that's another thing. I don't want to hear any chirping about my appearance and my beard in the chat afterwards, or in the comments afterwards, because I'm aware it needs to be cut. But I'm going to a wedding tomorrow. Congratulations, Drew and Taylor. And I need to look good tomorrow. So I'm not going to shave today. I'm going to shave tomorrow. We want Germany, Italy watch along. That will definitely not be happening. I'm telling you that right now, because that's a 6 a.m. match in Canada. And once again, I'm going to a wedding tomorrow night, right? I'm going to a wedding tomorrow night, two of my good friends, and I will be using the full extent of my late checkout to noon as possible. So the chances of me watching these matches down here tomorrow are not tomorrow, on Saturday, are slim to none at best, let's say. You talking shit about my eyes side out? Come on. Don't hit me. That's mean. That's mean. I'm sensitive about them. But yeah, I do think that the Japan-Thailand game is going to be really good. My call is going to be Japan 3-1. Japan 3-1. I think we're going to have 3 really competitive sets, and then they're going to run away with the fourth. 4th. All right, moving on, as I said, to the Saturday games. Now, Italy is now on a 32-match win streak. 32 matches. It's the longest win streak of all time. However, they are still far, far, far away from being the most decorated team of all time. Now, so fittingly enough, they did take care of Cuba, and Cuba is still, by all measures, the best team of all time in women's volleyball throughout the 90s, dominating with 3 Olympic Games and 2 World Championships in that time. But they're the last team to hold both the Olympic Games and the World Championships at the same time. And of course, Italy is chasing that. They beat them down 9-8 and 16 in an hour and shower in the first round, really putting in, doing it with emphasis. So this team is geared up and ready to go. They have their sets on the gold medal match. Now, Germany, on their hand, they had a really good opportunity to not be in this position, right? They had a really good opportunity to not be here right now. They could have been on the other side of the bracket. They could have been playing against Belgium, which, as we all know, is a much, much easier matchup. However, they went and, kind of threw their match yesterday. It was the best match, hands down, of the group stage, but they had so many opportunities in the 4th and the 5th to close that out. It was such a back and forth match, and they couldn't close it out. You would have loved to have seen them be able to pull it through and get a win, but they weren't able to. And now they have to play Italy in the first round. And obviously that looks terrible. However, I will say this. And now this is a big if there was one team that might be poised to do well against Italy, I think it might be Germany, for a few reasons. First and foremost, they're one of only 3 teams this year to have pushed them to 5 sets in the VNL. Germany, Japan, and Brazil. All of those teams play a solid, more varied style. They're not a right side dominant team, and they can really spread out their offense all around. And especially Brazil and Germany, they're really strong down the middle. So they're one of the few teams who have been to the limit with Italy and have taken them all the way, right? We know that they're really hardworking. They've got so much depth, kind of all over the place. Like they're looking really, really good. Like I think the battle between Germany and the Netherlands over the next few years is going to be really, really interesting because there's a lot of similarities between those 2 teams. But one thing to know as well is that Germany is actually the only team to have beaten Italy in this calendar year with a friendly match against them back on May 25th. So they beat them in a friendly, took them to 5 in Rio, I believe, in week 1 of the VNL. Is it the time now for Germany to finally get this official win, right? They're a hardworking team. They're going to have to play their best match ever. However, I'm not saying that this is like, I think, and I said this during the match yesterday too on the Discord, that I think that this German team has a better shot at beating Poland this German team has a better shot at beating Italy than Poland does. So I am maybe a little sad that I won't be watching this game, but I'll watch it back on replay. And the best is that if Italy wins, like I'm obviously like they're probably going to win, but if they don't, Devin, I'm expecting you to cut this out. Okay. Do not estimate Serbia. The girls won't disappoint Boston in her absence. What did they do all of VNL? If this was any other year, I could be that Boskovic goes down but we've seen them we saw them shit the bed to the point where they are 0-8 and went 0-4 at home in the VNL with this very same team. Do we think it's going to get better? Also, the World Cup is not a real event. The World Cup, I don't when I do research and I take it into world events, I don't consider the World Cup because the World Cup was always especially over the throughout the 2000s and the 2010s was just essentially a paid event for Japan, right? Like they would just throw events there so that they could say that they ran events in Japan, right? At the like, how do I put this? Like, once again, everyone goes off. It's like, oh, remember when Nishina served like 5 aces against Canada? Like, you want to look up that Canadian roster and to see how many of those guys aren't playing volleyball anymore, just because that was such a B team that we you know, like that the World Cup was just always this kind of like afterthought. Other than the 1 year where it had Olympic relevance, because every 4 years it was part of the Olympic qualification process. Sometimes it was 3 teams, sometimes it was only 1 teams. But all of the other years, it didn't matter, right? So the World Cup is not a real event, okay? The World Championships, like the VNL is more relevant. Like the World League to me is way more relevant than the World Cup was. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, the World Cup was run in like December, or yeah, it was always run in the fall after the international season was done, and like in the time of like professional seasons windows, right? So especially like Japan looked really good at it because they would send their A team and everyone would send whoever. So World Cup does not count as a real event. I'm sorry. Poland, Belgium. I don't think there's really much to talk about this one. I think if Poland shows up like they should, there should be no problem whatsoever. They should be able to take care of Belgium 3-0, 3-1. If Herbots is having a game, and I'm talking about like she needs to be having a 30-point plus game, and the rest of her team around her is supporting her. If Herbots is having a game and can knock Poland off kilter, then it could get interesting. Then it could get a little bit dangerous, right? This Polish team, like as we saw against Germany yesterday, they, other than that, the VNL, they tend to struggle closing out games. So I'm going to be really interested to see what the result of this one is. I think there's 2 possibilities. Is that either Poland dominates or it's just a Stysiak versus Herbots battle. Those are the 2 real possibilities that I think we're going to be able to see from this match. And other than that, I don't know. I probably won't be watching this match, but all the other ones I will be. Poland 3, Belgium 1. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So like if World Cup is just early tickets for the Olympics, it's just a qualification event. That's all that it matters. Okay, no. This is going to be then we have Friday's matches. China versus France. I actually think is going to be low-key really, really good. This is 2 really offensive teams who are kind of a little bit in the rise. Obviously, France is on the rise since the Olympics. I didn't think they're going to be as good as they were in the VNL this year, but they were really, really good, and I was really, really enjoying watching them play. And then on the other side of the net, China has been on the rise, like with Wu Menjie and Zhuang and Zhang. They're so much fun to watch, and they're really, really aggressive. They're really, really aggressive. They play pretty strongly. But I am going to call China on this one. I am absolutely going to call China for, a few reasons. I think that their offense is really, really high powered. I think they've got a lot of veteran presence all throughout the lineup. And I think France is not necessarily, overdoing themselves here by getting into the round of 16. They're definitely deserve to be in the round of 16, but for them to be in the quarterfinals, I think that's a little bit of a stretch, but it could happen. Kazota's been playing really, really well, and Yae has been scoring really, really well, and this Chinese team is still quite young, right? They still have a 17-year-old setter. Both of their left sides are under 20, like 23 and 21. So this is a very young team that could have a lot of volatility, and I think it's going to be a really good match to watch on Sunday. Yeah, that's Sunday morning. Next up, we have Brazil versus Dominican Republic, and this is an epic Pan Am rivalry that I just don't think really has the weight at the moment. This Dominican team, without a proper setter, really, like they don't have Ariana Rodriguez, who set them for them all year because she's back at the university playing for the University of Miami in the NCAA. Obviously, they don't have Niviaka Marte, who gave birth. Congratulations. So this team, I don't really see them being like they were. It was an entertaining match against China for sure, but even against China, they were no match. So I think it could be entertaining against Brazil. Maybe Dominican Republic will be able to steal a set, but I think that's might be pushing it even a little bit. It's going to be 3-0, 3-1 for Brazil easily. Interesting. China 3-2 France. Okay, I actually don't mind that call at all. I really don't mind that call at all. I think that match is going to be really good. Brazil without Ana Cristina, sure, yeah, but they still have Bergman. Like Brazil against Brazil missing Ana Cristina is a conversation to be had maybe against China, and it's a conversation to be had once they play against Italy. Not anything other than that. So yeah, I don't think that not having Ana Cristina is a big thing at all against the Dominican Republic in this matchup. Okay. Now, moving on to obviously what everyone wants to hear me talk about, USA versus Canada. And I mean, like, I'd love to say that I think we're going to come in and slay the Giants, and, you know, maybe we will, but Schmreck was not even on the roster for the last matchup, and it did open things up. They moved, you know, Hillary Johnson onto the right side, and Guzin got the start in the left side, and I thought she did pretty good against a pretty solid Turkey team, and they controlled the first half of that second set, and then as Guidetti put it in the interviews, is like Canada started playing against Canada, and that's rightly what happened. But this would be a tall order for this Canadian team to do. I do think that they're going to be able to win a set. But Canada gave them a really, really good match last time, and I don't think that the Americans are going to be so willing to do that. I do hope that Canada will be able to win a set, and I hope that we have a really good showing. It's just too bad that we, you know, have to face the Americans in this first round. And it's too bad that we don't have our full team. Like if we had Brie and we had Kira and we had Alexa, I would be really excited for this matchup. With this American team and our full team, that would be amazing. But that's obviously not where we're at. So we can't really sit here and talk about it like that. I just really want to see a good game from Canada. I want to see a good full game where we're not fighting ourselves. We're not playing against ourselves, where we're not tripping up on our own feet. Once again, I've really loved watching the progression of this Canadian team throughout this VNL. However, I'm not sure, or I'm not sure. I don't think that this Canadian team is ready to beat America in this way. But it is what it is. Let's see how it goes. I'm ready for another big match from Canada. I will probably live stream that one as well. Wake up nice and early on Monday morning just to watch it. Watch our girls fight hard. But I do think that Guidetti is going to have a good game plan, much like we saw in Arlington. But can we execute it? Because Schmreck was a big part of that game plan, and her block was really, really important. And especially because she plays in the NCAA, like she has so much familiarity with so many of those athletes that, you know, I think it gives her a little bit more of an advantage compared to play against the Euros. So we'll have to see how healthy she is. It sounds like she's still dealing with some concussion issues. So ultimately, I think the U.S. is going to be able to take this one. I thought they started the tournament pretty rough, but then they finished it pretty strong. Like their last win against the Czechs was solid, I thought. And, you know, on paper, they should beat us. Doesn't matter who they have out there for sure, but with Avery and the way she's playing, I know that things are a little bit rocky on the opposite still, but still think overall the U.S. has this one 3-1 or 3-2 in favor of the U.S. And then we'll wrap things up with Turkey against Slovenia. Now, I think Slovenia has done a really fantastic job to get to this point and to get here. That pool of theirs turned out to be kind of the most interesting, with Czechia and Argentina and everyone kind of beating up on each other. But I really liked watching Slovenia play the U.S. on the first day. I thought Silla was really dynamic, and I think also she's been one of the best scorers in the tournament so far with 65 points. I mean, nothing compared to Isabel Hawk up here. But yeah, Silla has done really a great job. Fatumata Silla, and it's only 22 years old. Damn, she's young. Where's she from? Mata Silla volley box. Who's she been playing for? Oh, damn, she's going Conigliano next year. Oh, okay. How do they always know? How do they always know? How are they always on the next hottest? Like, last year their backups were Lenier and Lukashik. And now they're going to get Fatumata Silla, who's been unreal at these world championships before. Like, they're just so good. It's just so good. But that's my stats. We'll talk about those later. But Turkey actually has been surprisingly very, very good. Their offense has been quietly super efficient. Them and Brazil lead the tournament in efficiency, and yeah, they've just been really, really, really solid. They haven't had much up against them so far, but they've been really strong throughout. So I don't think that there's any doubt that they're going to be able to get over Slovenia in this one. And Slovenia being the one non-VNL team to make it to the quarterfinals must feel pretty good. Or not the quarterfinals, still the round of 16, but still, that must feel good, pretty good regardless. Actually, while we do that, I will go over the. Oh no, that's not what I wanted to do. Sorry, I'm just gonna bring in. I'm gonna bring in what the quarterfinals look like. Actually, no. What the quarterfinal draw looks like if you. Just give me a moment here. Clearly, I wasn't ready for this as much as I should have. So this is going to be what this quarterfinal draw looks like. So we can talk a little bit about the weight of this tournament and where it's easy. I mean, the top left, that is like Netherlands, Serbia, Japan, and Thailand. You really only have like one quality team up there. Whereas if you look at the top right, you have 3 quality teams. Same with the bottom right, you have 2 quality teams. 2 quality teams in the bottom right with China and Brazil. France and Dominican, they're not really there at that point. I'm gonna give Italy a decent team. Actually, no, we can't. Just Germany, because then we can't count Netherlands. Regardless, just the unevenness of all of these matches is going to be really interesting. But I think we're going to have China, Brazil in the quarters, Italy, Poland in the quarters, Netherlands, Japan in the quarters, and then USA, Turkey in the quarterfinals. What do you guys think? Do you guys agree, disagree with that? Yeah, I don't like the way that this tournament is going either. It's just been it like looks like someone just like threw in as like to ChatGPT and was like, build us a tournament. Also on another note, I'm just gonna be all over the place now at this point, I think, as we've like talked about some of these matches, but Did anyone else get that email from Volleyball World apologizing for how terrible the streaming has been? And I mean, like, first and foremost, I think that's the first time I've ever seen them like acknowledge that the streaming has been bad. Like listening to me complain about it, obviously they're used to that, but like it's been all over Instagram. It was like all over Reddit as well. So them acknowledging that there's a problem there is actually pretty good. However, like I can you like not that like 10%, here's a 10% discount. Here's the exact same discount for the all of VBT that's just floating around everywhere, that every single creator has, and that Eric Shoji has, and that Out of System has, Nakoba has. Like every single one has their name 10% for VBTV. So what more are you actually offering? Right? That's such just like a side, like just let them eat cake, give them 10%. It doesn't affect us in any way at all, because to be honest, if you're spending full price for VBTV, I don't know why you should. There's so many access codes out there, all for 10%. But yeah, it was really, really interesting that's what they offered in that situation. Ooh, there is what's there's a big conversation. What's getting canceled right now in Thailand, and why? There's a big conversation going on between in the chat here about USA versus Turkey. Now, if we want to talk about that, there's a lot of good points here back and forth, but I'll break it down to this. I think that the Americans are just not what they like. It's not that they aren't what they used to be. It's that they're building back up to that point. And there's a lot of blocks and a lot of holes in what they do. They have the athleticism, and they have like the power of we that just comes with the American teams. However, they don't have the execution level. Whereas like on the other side of like the other side of the coin, you have a Turkish team who like does have that execution level and could have one of the highest levels of execution in the world, but are just not always there. So like the thing is that this is going to be a dangerous situation, American team, because it's a one match situation, and they're going to have their backups against the wall, and they're going to feel like the underdogs. And I actually think that bodes better for Eric Sullivan's Team USA than them coming in as the favorites, right? So I agree that Santarelli is going to be able to coach circles around Eric Sullivan. There's no doubt about that. And like, he's still going to need to be able to get up to that level to be able to coach for Turkey. However, at the same time, Santarelli can do whatever he wants, but if their left side's one of them can't pass a ball and one of them can't put that away, I think Sullivan can maybe target that, right? There's so much dysfunction within that Turkish team, and there's just always such an expectation of them to win from themselves, it seems. And this is just my own view of it all. It is real interesting. I mean, like, yeah, it's really interesting to see how the chat is fighting each other on why their team sucks more. So that is a really new a really new meta that we have in volleyball right now. Yeah. Yeah, it is time for the USA to rebuild, and they are rebuilding, right? That's what it is. And Turkey should take advantage, because if Turkey gets, like, it's either Japan or Turkey have such a free ride all the way to the finals, but one of them has to take it. Oh, I feel like Helicopter, we had to kick him out of the chat before. We'll see if it happens again. I'm from Italy, and Turkey team for me is overrated, hoping USA will beat them. I mean, that's always the fact of Italian fans, thinking that the Turkish teams are overrated, both for club and for countries. So that's nothing new out over there. Do you guys have any questions about things that are going on? We can also take a look at this if you'd like. So this is, I essentially brought together all of the stats, all of the team stats from all of the teams in the different in the different categories. So if we go, I'm obviously not great. I would love to be able to have this better, but you look at the best kill percentages. You got Italy at the top, Turkey, Brazil, Poland, USA, Germany, China, Serbia. That was before Boskovic went down, and then France. So those top 10 teams in the top 10 of kill percentage. But if we go to look for efficiency here, we're seeing that the top end of the efficiency scale is rocking around 39% efficiency, and that's for Italy and Turkey. However, I said Brazil and Turkey earlier. I apologize. It was Italy and Turkey. However, if you go down to the bottom, look how bad as this is. Puerto Rico, 10% kill efficiency. Ooh, just terrible. Just awful all the way around. Any other, let's see. See blocks. So one of the things that's really frustrating about it is that it's all done on a per match basis, which is so difficult because there's some teams that went to 5 a whole bunch. And then there's other teams that, you know, just played in 3-0s and 3-1s the entire time. So it's really hard to give you an actual basis on how good teams are doing. But if you're looking at the blocking side, Brazil is a really interesting one. They're the top of the leaderboard in terms of kill blocks. So they have 15 kill blocks per match, but they're only making about 6.33 block touches per match, which is really low. And then on the other side, we're going to see here, I'm pretty sure, yeah, Czechia all the way up there with 20 block touches per match. That is an insane amount of block touches, but unfortunately it didn't get them through. And like kills per match is such an arbitrary stat in this because, like, yeah, Japan has 61 kills a match because they went to 5. Whereas down here, Cameroon, not even averaging a match worth of points from attacking in a match, just 24.67. And I mean, if you look at the Cameroon, there is a lot of deep red down here for Cameroon. Same thing with Vietnam, Puerto Rico, Cuba, Kenya as well. Just, you know, all of those bottom teams that we just let into the World Championships. No, I don't think Brazil will finally beat Italy's winning streak. If they had Ana Cristina, maybe, but I don't think so. Also, yeah, I don't think that Turkey is overrated. I think that they should be able to do better. I think that they could be a better team and be better overall. Vietnam without a man in the team is nothing. You know what? Like, I'm laughing, but because that same player played for that Vietnamese team in the World Club Championships, and I was like, like, something seems off here. But I had always expected that, like, the due diligence had been done, and yeah, it was a little bit interesting. Now, I will say that this person has never claimed to be a trans person. So I just want to get that out there very quickly. There was never any disagreement. But if people don't know what I'm talking about, essentially the Vietnamese team qualified, you know, for the first World Championship ever. And this summer at the U21 Women's World Championships, essentially Vietnam had been crushing, and I think they won their pool like 4 with like 4 wins and 1 loss, which was historic for Vietnam. And the Serbian coach, I think it was, maybe Bulgarian, no, I'm pretty sure it was Serbian, like came out and was just like, well, like, we've never had to play against a man before. And the FIVB did a test essentially, and at the end of that test, no results were named, but all of Vietnam's points were stripped, except for the one match that they won. They had beat Puerto Rico without this player, and all of their points were stripped, and they essentially like didn't move on and lost all their points. And that player was also on the roster for the World Championships, and then the FIVB announced that they were going to be testing essentially genetics for the World Championships, and this player withdrew from the roster, citing like mental health or something like that. So yeah, it was a really fishy situation over there for Vietnam. And now, if I think this person had come out and declared, you know, like I'm trans, you know, whichever way, then I think it'd be a much different and bigger discussion too. However, it does seem really suspicious over what Vietnam was doing over there. Oh, sorry, I'm getting bombarded by messages here. I need to learn to turn off my messages when I'm streaming. But yeah, it was a very interesting situation there overall for Vietnam. I don't know where all of this sudden talk about Vargas with diabetes is coming from, but I've heard nothing about this. Yeah. All right. Does anyone have any other questions? I think we're gonna cut it off here. I won't. Oh yeah, no. I'm gonna do a live tomorrow morning for Thailand versus Japan, and then yeah, and then we'll go from there. Okay. People. Oh. Also, just to like, not like point out the obvious, but you don't really need to say like free Rob and all that stuff in the chat, in the commentary. Rob not being here is totally on his own choice. He told me after Chicago that he would let me know when he wanted to rejoin. I've reached out, you know, in the past to see if he wanted to do stuff. He said he wasn't ready yet, so that's completely on him and on his own time. So there's nothing really to report on that side. I'd love for him to come back and do the show. But if he doesn't want to, you know, that's his own prerogative. Okay. So appreciate you all. I love you all. I will see you all tomorrow morning for Thailand versus Japan. Peace.